make a video about my twin flame, false flame, karmic shit that I've been through. And this is going to be a very long story, so this is just part one. I don't know how long this shit is going to go, but let's get into this shit because I don't really want to write a book. I just want to put it here. So yeah, let's start off with the karmic. Okay, I'm gonna say this is a karmic person, and this I met my false twin through a karmic. All right, a karmic soulmate. So this is gonna be the first time I ever talked about anything like this on my channel or any channels I had. So it was 2002, and I was dealing with a karmic. I'm gonna just tell y'all about all the karmic soulmates. That was around that time, around 2002. I was dealing with one karmic, and he was a Taurus, and he had a Pisces moon. We got along very, very well. He had a lot of kids, though. Sometimes you meet people with children, and you just accept them. You know what I mean? This guy at the time, he had about 15 kids. So I wouldn't deal with him like that. He was never living with any of his baby mamas or anything like that. But me and him had a good time together. I stopped dealing with him, and I met another karmic, which was a Sagittarius like myself, and he had a Pisces moon as well. So when I was dealing with the Sag Pisces moon, he was. I started off meeting him through a coworker. I had a friend at work, and me and her used to hang out and stuff, and she told me that she had three brothers. And she was like, okay, let me introduce you to some people in my family, because she seen that I was single and I was working two jobs at a time, and I was always busy. I didn't have a love life. So she wanted to, introduce me to some guys. So she sent me three guys to my job. The first one I seen, I was like, oh, hell no. He looked like Bart Simpson or something, like a black Bart Simpson. He was not cute. The other one, going on with this. All right, so let me get back to this. Yeah, one was a drug dealer. Actually, two of them was a drug dealer. Two of the brothers, and I was like, oh hell no, they run the streets. They do a whole bunch of stupid stuff. They have a lot of different women in their life. And then she introduced me to the last one, which was a Sagittarius with a Pisces moon. So I end up talking to the Sag Pisces moon, and then later on I found out that the other ones that I wasn't attracted to was Aries and another Taurus. So I'm like, okay, wow. So I get with this Sagittarius Pisces moon guy. And the first thing that I noticed is that he was still talking to his exes. And the girl that introduced me to him, which was his sister, she was still allowing his ex to come around and sneak around her house and do stuff with him and have sex with him behind my back. So me and him argued a lot. I didn't like the fact that we were arguing and stuff. So I would leave him and I would go back home, get back to my life or whatever. And he used to, beg me to get back with him and all this stuff. And then he ended up getting sick. So as a Sagittarius, I wanted to be there for him because he had sarcoidosis, which is the same thing that Bernie Mac died of. So, his blood cells, all that bullshit was going on with his body. He kept throwing up all the time, blah, blah, blah. And I stuck around, you know. During that time, I got introduced to some of his surrounding people, friends of friends, people that we party with, stuff like that. And I met a guy. Um, and he was actually in the same area of this Sagittarius. And he asked me, you know, if I was dating this Sag. And I was like, I am, but I don't really like what's going on. He's a cheater, all this stuff. And at the time, I didn't know he was a Taurus. So there's like so much Taurus going on. So I chat with this Taurus outside of the Sag because I'm not really committed to the Sag because I don't trust him. And the Taurus is like, I like you. He's putting his hand on my thigh and all this other shit. And I was like, I don't know if I want to just jump from a Sag to a Taurus like that. So I try to get to know the Taurus, and the Taurus tells me that he is in a relationship and he has a newborn child at home. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So I back away from that shit, and I was not even interested in it. All right. But listen, I found him very attractive. I was like, damn, this Taurus is fine. You know what I mean? He's chocolate, he's cute, all that stuff. I didn't really know him. I knew that he had a job and stuff, but I already knew that he had a family because he explained it to me and all this other stuff. So he wanted to just be cool. So he he knew some other friends of mine, and even though he was in a relationship, he was like, "Oh, come over to my house, come over, play cards, get to know my girl and all this stuff." So I got to know his woman. The first day that I got to know his woman, he pretty much left the house, with some other people or whatever. I did not know that this Taurus was my false twin. Okay. So this is me not liking a Sag and then going into, having a crush on a Taurus. And he acted like he didn't want to, fuck with me after that. He just wanted me to come over and play cards and shit. So left me with his girlfriend. She started telling me that she was messing around with one of his friends. And I was like, what the fuck? So she was talking about how his friend was so fine and how she liked him so much and all this stuff. And I didn't really like her. She was judging me from the day that she met me. She was a Capricorn. So she told me that she really didn't like the situation with him. She had a child with him, but she has another child by another person, and now she's crushing on his friend. So that was crazy. So me and her ended up getting into it because she was like, what side of town are you from? And I'm like, I'm from the east side. She's like, oh, the east side, I heard it's bad over there. I heard the women are crazy over there, or they do this or they do that. And I'm like, you're judging me. You don't even know me. So I just cut it off. I told him, the Taurus, that, hey, I can't be around your bitch because your bitch is trifling and she's fucking your friend. Okay. So she pissed me off so bad that I told him that, and I was mad. So I just moved on from that, and I was like, fuck this. And me and the Sagittarius, Pisces moon, we ended up making up. We started talking again. He he was one of those type of people that would be cheating and whatever, but act like he's not cheating. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't got nobody, I ain't messing with nobody. But his sister used to hook him up with females all the time. His sister was a Scorpio. So she used to keep his secrets and everything. So I ended up moving in with this Sag. And me and him started to get to know each other a little bit more. And his mother, let's mention this, she was a Taurus. So it's like Taurus all around me and shit. Um, and the mother was very jealous. This is when I first experienced someone being a mama's boy. Because the mother, she was like really boss her son around all the time, and he would listen to everything she said, and he would always just be, laying on her lap all the time, and I used to be like, what the hell was wrong with him? Like he was all up on his mom all the time, you know, being baby, like he was always, you know, like he was a baby or some shit. So I was just like, you know what, I ain't got time for this mess. And she was really jealous of me and his connection. She didn't have anybody or whatever. But he was my karmic, definitely. So my dad was like, hey, I don't think you should be just dating this guy. My dad was a preacher. So he was like, don't shack up with this guy, try to make it work or, try to get it together. And my dad was a Sagittarius. My dad, December 15th, he was like, okay, your boyfriend is December 15th too. He has the same birthday as me. So I know he's a good guy. I'm like, I don't think so, Dad. I do not think so, Dad. Unless you were like that when you were younger, Dad. I don't know. But it I think it was like it was 2002 for sure. I met him in January 2002, and by the time August came, we ended up getting married because my dad was forcing it. I was one of those daughters where your dad is just like, oh, get married or whatever. And my dad married us too. He was like, you can get married at my church. So I had a very small wedding there. And the marriage was crazy. My first marriage, I was 21 years old. Me and this guy, we lived in about three places together. But I noticed his activity. I'm like, I'm a Sag, he's a Sag, He had a lot of friends he used to hang out with. He used to go out all the time. He used to smoke a lot of fucking weed all the fucking time. And then I started noticing his activity, him wanting to go to certain places. He wanted to go to strip clubs with his cousins, his brothers, and all this stuff. And he just used to hang out all the time with his family members, cousins, uncles. Then during the second year of marriage, he started doing disappearing acts and stuff. Disappearing. Oh, I was with my uncle. I was doing this. I was doing that. So I was like, oh yeah, he got to be a karmic. For real, for real. You know what I mean? So I don't want to talk too much about him. I'm going to just say he was a hoe, a real hoe. And he hid a lot of his activity too. During that marriage, he had 5 mistresses. Okay. And it was just crazy, you know. And I just got tired of him, his family, and everything else. Sometimes you shouldn't let people hook you up with people because when that girl from work hooked me up with her brother, I was just like, hell no. I knew something was wrong. So I ended up divorcing him because he cheated on me with somebody, some girl, and lied about it a lot. And I left him. I moved out of town in 2004 and I jumped into another relationship with a karmic, again, karmic soulmate. So, yeah, I was with this other guy. He was an Aquarius and he was crazy. And this is when I really get into my crazy stories because all these men that I dated or was in long term relationships with, they pretty much led me into my false twin and my real twin. So let's talk about the Aquarius. I was with him 7 years. He was very fucking weird. We used to chill out together. Somebody to hang out with. You know, listen to music. He liked music. He liked watching movies. He liked doing a lot of stuff. He loved to eat. Very gritty. Knew how to cook. I knew how to cook. Traveled a lot. Met my family. All that shit. But his moods. Dealing with Aquarius, sometimes they have a lot of mood swings all the time. They want to have a lot of alone time. They act real weird, give you side treatment, all that bullshit. So I did that for 7 years with him. You know, I don't even know how it lasted that long. I can really say I don't know how it did, but that relationship was one of the craziest ones I've been in because he was very insecure. I'm gonna say that he was one of the worst people that I ever been with. Uh, And then when I left him alone, here comes another karmic, because I was dealing with another karmic, which is my baby daddy. And I don't give a fuck who's listening. My baby dad is a Libra. And yeah, my Libra baby dad, he's also a karmic soulmate. Okay. He has a Scorpio moon. And let's go back to that Aquarius because he had a Pisces moon. Now that I'm recording this, I'm wondering why the fuck do I keep attracting Pisces moon? I have a Scorpio moon and they don't match in a relationship. They don't, because they have different views on life and they do different things. So I'm gonna just put that out there. But yeah, getting back to the situation with my baby daddy. um, I ended up having a daughter, with him, and finding out that he was a karmic later on. You know, um, that didn't work out because he was a cheater. He was very sneaky. Like to sleep around with women and stuff behind your back, all that type of stuff. Still talking to exes or whatever, whatever. Um, when I left him, he went to a Gemini. He married a Gemini. So I was done with that. Now let's get into my motherfucking false twin, because years after that, I went back to my hometown, and the guy that I was talking about, the Taurus, he had a Cancer moon, Cancer Venus. When I connected with him, I was like all crushing over him. By the time I seen him again, because remember I met him in 2002, I seen him again in 2015, and I was like, hey, what's good? Like, when we gonna hook up? When we gonna do this? When we gonna do that? Listen, we were in and out of hotels all the fucking time. I'm not even gonna sit up here and fucking lie. We were doing all type of shit together. Travel, just doing a whole bunch of stuff. He told me that he was divorced, so I was like, fuck yeah. So he ended up marrying that girl that he said he had them kids with. And that marriage went down the hill. He ended up having like 3 children with her, you know. But they argued a lot because she was cheating on him a lot. And she was the Capricorn. So there's a lot of Tauruses that deal with Capricorns, definitely. But at the time I didn't know he was my false twin. I had no fucking clue. But I'm liking him, I was kicking it with him or whatever. And I believe that he did not want me to know anything about his history or whatever. I think I was dating him for about four months, and he was hiding the fact that he was living or dealing with, no, he was living with one girl, which was another Capricorn. So I'm like, okay, he married a Capricorn. Now he's dealing with another Capricorn. Okay, after that marriage. So I found out that he had a baby on the way with a Capricorn while he's dating me. And he's like coming to me, telling me, like, oh, I didn't know that she was pregnant. I didn't know if she was going to keep the baby or whatever, whatever. So he came to me with that. And then maybe about a year later, um, I caught him dealing with a female that I knew from school. She was a Gemini. So you see all this shit going on, like Taurus, Gemini, Sag, like all this energy of the same signs and stuff popping up. So yeah, I found out that he had a second baby on the way after dealing with him. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, this is some straight bullshit. I'm like, so he's doing all this stuff. It's crazy how you could be dating somebody and you're around them every day and you don't know what they're doing in the background. So these babies start popping up and stuff. And I was like, when did he have time to make these babies? Because we're together almost every day. or he's going to work and he's coming back and stuff like this. But sometimes he would say that he was with his cousin or he was doing this or doing that. So I used to be like, oh, what is all this? So when I start getting mad about everything that he was doing behind my back, it started to really piss me off because I liked him. I would say I was in love with him. And I just got to my fed up point. Once you cry out a situation and you get past it, you're just done as a Sagittarius. So I was done. And I said to myself, I'm not going to be with him anymore. So I told him, I called him up and I said, I don't want to be with you anymore. The reason why I didn't want to be with him anymore is because he lied to me. I finally caught him. He told me that he was going somewhere one day and then he pocket dialed me. And I was like, hold up. I'm hearing all this activity in the background, him talking to somebody. And then when I seen that girl again that I knew from school that he was attached to, she was pregnant for real. I seen her when she was about 8 months pregnant. I went into my doctor's appointment and she went to the same doctor I went to and she came out pregnant. And I was like, oh, I seen your baby mama. And he's like denying it and everything. Like Taurus can be crazy because, I mean, even when you know that they're lying about something, they still want to act like, it's not true or whatever. Like you are caught, like totally caught. So after that, he still wanted to deal with me. He thought he was going to still come over and hang out with me and everything. And I did start noticing, like a little bit before that, there was some disappearing acts. There was that Five of Cups energy coming up all the time. So I used to be like, oh, what the fuck? Where are you going? He used to be like, I'm just going home. So I started really like seeing that he was a true liar. Social media will really tell you everything. So the girl, like I said, I knew her from school. She was actually one of my friends on Facebook. So I'm starting to see her post everything, pictures of the baby, all this other stuff, and even pictures of him. So he couldn't deny after that. Not at all. And he never wanted to go into detail about what was actually going on as well. Because he just didn't want to talk about it. He felt embarrassed, ashamed, or whatever the hell, because he felt like he was trying to be with me. So he couldn't be in a solid relationship with me because he just had two babies back to back, 1 year after the other. So this is what I did. I ended up meeting my real twin. In the process, I just told him, like, I don't want to date you anymore. I'm moving on. I said, you have moved on. You have had a baby behind my back. So I'm going to start dating. So when I started dating, I met my husband. I ended up getting married to my real twin flame. So a year passed and I went to Nigeria. I went to Nigeria and had a fun time there. When I came back, my false twin, which was the Taurus, he was begging to get back with me. Like, I don't really like them other girls that I got the kids with or whatever. And I can't believe you got married and I want you to get a divorce and I want to be with you now and all this other stuff. And I was like, no, I can't do it. Because when we were dating, I kind of felt like that friend zone energy of him, doing disappearing acts and stuff. So I was like, no. I was like, I'm married now, you know. And let me tell you, my false twin, which is the Taurus that I met in 2002, he is a Taurus sun, um, Aquarius rising, Cancer moon, Cancer Venus, Mercury and his Gemini and Mercury, um, Leo North Node. That motherfucker was a devil, demonic. My husband, this is going to be a shocker. My husband is a Taurus, and he is a, what is it? His rising is Leo. His moon is in Gemini. His Venus is in Aries. So it's a little bit of a difference. You know what I mean? So at the time, like with all this Gemini stuff going on, both of them, I would say my false twin is a Gemini. Well, no. Is a Taurus Gemini cusper. Yeah, my false twin is a Gemini. Yeah, both of them are Geminis. Let me just say that. Okay, both of them are like Taurus Gemini cuspers. Okay. And the false twin cheated on me for a Taurus Gemini cusp. My baby daddy was with a Gemini. So this is like some crazy shit. Crazy shit. Okay? I'm like, while I'm with people, they're meeting like either false twins or twin or real twins or whatever. And listen, I couldn't tell nothing apart. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. My mind was like going crazy because I'm like, both of these motherfuckers that I'm dealing with, this brought in a whole bunch of confusion. My false twin, like I said, had all that fucking Gemini in his chart, and my husband had all that Gemini in his chart too. So I'm like, who's the real twin? Who the fuck is the real fucking twin? And when you get at that point, you just like, what the fuck? So me as a tarot reader, I failed. I'm gonna tell y'all I failed in the beginning because the trickery, I'm gonna tell you the trickery of Gemini will that's why that fucking magician is there in the cards, because that motherfucking magician is real. And when I say it's fucking real, it's so fucking real. Because I couldn't tell them apart when the shit was coming out in the cards. I was like, what the fuck is this? I kept seeing the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. But when you have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, you have to clarify. Even when you got that motherfucker, you have to clarify. I went through something so crazy with the false twin that I stopped doing the motherfucker's cards. Because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do my cards or his. That's the worst thing to do, is stop doing motherfucking cards when you dealing with somebody. Because when I took my eyes off that motherfucking deck, my whole life went down the fucking toilet. I'm going to tell you that right now. I let so much shit get past me. And I started thinking that my false twin was the real one. And what did I do? I started thinking that my husband was the false twin because of all the manipulation coming from the magician card and the false twin. So it's like, what the fuck? I started believing that that false twin was the real one because he was telling me so much stuff. He was on bended knee. He was crying. He was coming at me like, I'm so sorry. I was like falling for everything that he was doing. I mean, it was crazy. So I ended up going in separation with my husband. And that was the worst thing that I could do, is go in separation with my real twin. I was a runner, and my real twin was a chaser. And he was showing me signs. My husband was showing me signs that he was the real twin. And he was just asking me, like, what are you doing? I know you're not talking to your ex. oh, the one that had babies on you, the one that did this to you and all this stuff. And I was like thinking it was the opposite. I thought he was getting mad because he was jealous and he was trying to, you know, fuck up my situation or whatever. So I started seeing myself go backwards and I couldn't tell the difference between the two. That's because I was not looking at my cards. So my false twin told me, he was like, we're twins, you know? And then when we got together, he was talking about my husband like crazy, calling him names, pissed off at him, jealous, telling me to get a divorce. He's like, you guys are separated anyway, just leave him alone and all this stuff. And then he wanted me to forget that he had the babies and all the other stuff he had going on in his life. But I would find myself still arguing with him about that stuff. And when we argued, it got worse. It turned into domestic violence. It turns into a lot of shit. You know, he was an alcoholic. This is how I knew the difference. My false twin was an alcoholic. He was abusive, physically, mentally, verbally. Yeah. The other one, my husband, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do anything. Very respectful, you know, gentleman, you know. He has his ways, but he's not crazy like that. That was a lesson learned. It was a real lesson learned. But yeah, I would say that false twin, he was just one of those person. I mean, one of them people that just like to get away with. He wanted to get away with shit. You know what I mean? Like really like hurtful. He was a serial cheater. But yeah, now that I look at the whole situation, you can get manipulated really, really bad. That's if you cut off your spiritual gifts. You're not going to know who's real and who's fake. You know, you're not going to know. And for a long time, I was just, you know, enjoying all this time and stuff with my false twin. Like, I'm out here at the parks. I'm out here doing stuff with him. We were out grilling, chilling, listening to music. But I started noticing with the false twin that we had nothing in common. I'm like, I don't like the same music you like. We don't hang around the same types of people. You're into like drugs and stuff that I wouldn't do. I see you popping pills. I see you. I'm not against nobody that smoked weed. They used to smoke weed, but he smoked, and he used to have attitudes and stuff when he wasn't smoking. He had money problems. He had too many child support cases open. He had so much fucking problems. And then he was always just flirty, too flirty, you know. But dealing with people that got Gemini placements, you can expect them to be flirty, very flirty. But he had a real bad attitude. I feel like the false twin was highly depressed all the time, all the time. See, when I got with my real twin, it showed me that two people can actually get along. You know what I mean? They can put whatever it is behind them and not keep dwelling on the same shit. You know what I mean? It's an easier connection because you have a level of understanding, like a greater level of understanding, and it's better. It's just better. It's just being with your twin. It's someone that you can actually go to when you just don't have anybody else. But that runner chaser thing is really real, you know, because at some point I was a runner. And I'm telling you right now, I was a runner. Look what I ran to, the false twin. And my real twin, what I'm noticing now that it's 2022, because I got married in 2018, I'm noticing that my real twin has some issues with his karmics and stuff, now. So even when you have a twin flame, a real twin flame, let me focus on that, you'll have outsiders trying to ruin the connection. And that would be exes, family members, or whatever. And when you are in a twin flame connection, you'll have a lot of, um, I would say, you're gonna feel like they're really your twin, like for real, because you may be with somebody and they may know people. Y'all might know the same people, but y'all wasn't around the same people at the same time. That's what I do notice. Because when my false twin, he used to always be like, "Oh, I know this person, or I grew up on this street or whatever." And I used to be like, "I grew up on that street too. I know these people or whatever." We be knowing the same people, talk to the same people, but was not in that same area at the same time. That was crazy. And then uh, with the real twin, this is what really tripped me out about my real twin. Like, me and him, we both have a sister that's a Virgo. I actually have two Virgo sisters. He has a Virgo sister. He has two Gemini brothers. I have two Gemini brothers. Oh man, that part right there, I'm like, really? um, it's just it's some similarities there, for real. Um, his mom, my real twin's mother is a Capricorn. See how things, double back. Yeah, double. When I say that, I knew my false twin had two fucking Capricorns. Now, my mother-in-law is a Capricorn, and I'm like, wow. And then, it just feels very comfortable. Like I said, you know when you're with a real twin flame, because they're not they're not going to judge you in a way that is going to hurt you. It's going to help you. It's going to fucking help you. You know what I mean? You have to be more understanding too when you're communicating with them as well. You have to, because they're in your life to help you. No matter what they're doing, they're making you better, making you a better person. My false twin never made me a better person. That motherfucker made me pissed off all the time. He brought the worst out of me, if anything. Like, really the worst out of me. If somebody makes you violent or they make you suicidal or anything like that, I know that you're dealing with either a karmic soulmate or a false twin. I know that for a fact. But I'm gonna get more into this story though. I didn't go really into details about the shit, because if I go into details about this shit, y'all gonna be like, what? I'm just telling y'all bits and pieces right now. But if I start going into the real storyline of the whole relationship and how crazy it is, y'all gonna be like, wow. Because it's just too many lies. It's a lot of lies. A lot of family can try to come in between you and false twins too. False twins and real twins. But yeah, I do want to talk about their mothers. Their mothers. I'm going to focus on them too, because the false twins' mother is a Cancer, and she was cool or whatever, but she had her ways. She really had her ways, and she knew a lot of things, what was going on, everything. I'm gonna talk about her next time that I come on here, because I don't even give a fuck. If I got to this point of making a video like this, I don't give a motherfucking rat's ass about anybody that is a false twin or karmic. Because I've been with karmics. I can tell y'all some stories of karmics, and y'all will know if y'all dealing with one or not. Because like I said, that Aquarius that I was with for 7 years, that person right there, they waited. That person will make you believe that they are faithful when they're not. They really can. I didn't know that my Aquarius was unfaithful until the end of the relationship. He actually came out with a usher confession. So yeah, people can be out of control. But I I pity the people that um run into my false twin now. I really do, because he had multiple females in his life, and he was treating all women the same. You know, I always call him a Rolling Stone. Papa was a Rolling Stone because he was definitely looking for someone that he can take advantage of. You know, and I don't want to look at all Tauruses like that. He was one of the Tauruses that really cheat and do a whole bunch of dirty shit to women. You know, go around, getting everybody pregnant and, turn them against each other and all this other type of stuff. Like, that's just ignorant. So I will be back, you guys, because I want to talk to y'all more about this. And yeah, that's the story, you know. And and listen, the years are going like really fast. When I really think back, like, to when I first met these stupid motherfuckers, yeah, I'm like, damn, I was 21. That was years ago. That was 2002. Yeah, that was crazy. That was before I got on YouTube and started doing tarot and all that other shit. Because I got on YouTube in 2007. And I'm going to tell y'all how my false twin judged the hell out of me, too. He judged me. The false twin hated the fact that I did tarot and that I was spiritual. He used to always, say negative stuff about me, like, oh, you're a witch, you're this, you're that, or whatever the hell, because he did not want me to know what he had going on in his life. He didn't want me to read him. He didn't want me to know nothing. But I didn't need any cards to know what he was doing. He was doing it right up in my face. So when he did see what kind of work I was doing, he was like, oh, she's going to find out even more about what I'm doing. But let me tell you this. My real twin doesn't give a fuck about me doing tarot. He don't care about it at all. He calls me a prophet. That's what he calls me. So you'll always meet people that are against you and people that are not against you. You know what I mean? So never just give up on finding, your real mate or whatever, your life partner, because, everybody is not the same. They're not the same. For real. My twin and my false twin is like night and day. For real, for real. You know. And even people say we look alike. I'm like, okay, my real twin, they say we look alike. And we're not even from the same country, you know. So yeah, for those of y'all that want to get twin flame readings, I am definitely the one to try to do it for you, because I've been through it. I've been through the bad part and the good part, you know. And I meet a lot of people that never met their twin yet. And I actually want you guys to. If you do, I will always be here to help you see if they're real or false, because it was hard for me. But like I said, it was only hard because I was not looking into my cards. I was not, I wasn't tapping into my energy, you know. And the Lover's card, yeah, it's Gemini. So That's why they always say it's a choice and all that stuff, because you don't really have to deal with people. You really don't. Even with the real twin, you don't have to deal with them too, but there will be always something, bringing you back to them. You know what I mean? Because some people will be like, oh, I don't believe in this shit. I hear a lot of people talk about that all the time. I don't believe in twins or whatever. That's because, some people, they're just giving up and they're just like tired of what they've been through, and they don't want to believe that there's somebody out there for them, but it actually is. God made somebody for everybody out here, you know. But some people, they don't want to use their energy towards, having that type of connection. I mean, over the years on YouTube, I have heard multiple people say they don't believe in twin flame connections, but it's actually really out there. And you do argue a little bit. You have issues with twin flames too. You know what I mean? It just depends on what kind of person you are, okay? Because I've had issues with my real twin, but we always got along good. But you'll notice how easy it is to get along with a real twin, versus a false twin, you know. So a lot of people out here, they don't have patience. They don't, you know what I mean? Or like I said, faith in the connection. All right, you guys. Thank you for listening to me. I will be back again. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about this time, or I mean next time when I come back, because I don't know. I don't know. I was all ready to record this shit, but now I'm like lost for words, because I'm like, what subject do I really want to touch on? Because I know there's a lot of different ones. So if you have any questions, if you guys want me to talk about anything related to the twin flame connection, please let me know, and I will tell you my experience on it and how I got through it. Okay?